Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest in exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
Welcome to Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. Now, historically, getting your car ready for the season meant taking it to a shop where they checked it out with a computer like this for the diagnostics. $5,000 worth of equipment right there, shared amongst all the technicians in the shop. Well, TopDon has made it possible for each technician to be able to afford a computer like that, but it gets even better, Chad. At TopDon, you have this. Tell me what this does. This is the Top Scan from TopDon. What can I do with it?
Absolutely. So what we did was we've been manufacturing professional diagnostic tools for years, and we knew that the price point was getting a little out of hand for a normal technician to be able to afford. So now we have taken that technology, put it into an affordable device, but then we took it one step further. We put it into a device that you can use with your smartphone. This will work on Android or iOS, and this gives us the ability to plug into the OBD2 port on the car and have access to all systems on that car. Now we can turn our phone into a full-fledged diagnostic tool. But when we look at diagnostics, it's not just reading codes and clearing codes, as most people would think. We need to actually be able to service our cars for the season as well. The days of being able to just change a battery and go down the road, or just change your brakes in your driveway, it's kind of gone by the wayside. So a tool like the Top Scan from TopDon gives us the ability to do that electronic parking brake, to do that battery management reset, so us DIYers still have the ability to do some of that maintenance on our cars at home.
This has now made this technology accessible to folks at home. So how's it going to revolutionize what I'm doing in the driveway?
So this gives you the ability to do some of your own work if you want to. Not that you have to, but even an oil change. We can't do an oil life reset on some cars without having this professional tool. So it gives us the ability to still have our hands on, to still use our cars and work on our cars in the driveway if you want to save some money, or if it's just because that's your passion. That gives us that ability.
And at a fraction of the cost compared to a professional tool.
Absolutely. So you're going to have some more features and functions in those professional tools, but for the normal DIY guy in the driveway, this is going to do all the major things that you want to be able to do.
And that takes care of the computer, and cars today have more and more computers than ever. What about the charging systems? Those are more complicated than ever as well.
Absolutely. So the computer system relies on that charging system, the battery, the starter, the alternator, to produce that clean voltage. And TopDon has really expanded out to be able to offer more products like that. So this is our TB6000. This gives us the ability to not only be a trickle charger and a battery charger on that car, but we took that same philosophy, that same Bluetooth technology, and tied it into this charger. So now we can operate that charger from our phone. We can select our voltage, we can select our charging time, but if we unplug that from the wall, that also gives us the ability to turn that into a battery tester. So imagine the ability to test a battery, charge the battery, and then test the battery again and have a full report of the health of that battery. To repair that battery or to desulfate it with one charger, we can do that all with this TB6000.
Essentially 3 tools in one.
Absolutely.
And here's another twofer over here. Tell me what this tool can do.
So we took that same idea. What can we add to a normal lithium battery jump pack that you would have in the trunk of your car for emergencies? So we still have that same technology. You can leave that in your trunk. If you charge it up fully, in 6 months, it'll still be at 85%. So it's a good rescue device. But we took that charging cable that plugs into it and put that same battery tester technology into it. So now we can test the battery, starting, and charging system all from just the clamps, but then also we have that secondary where we have the jump starter as well.
And how do you read what's coming through from the clamps?
So that just connects to your smart device again. So we use an app based on your phone, Android or iOS. It uses it as a voltmeter, but also as your starting, charging, and battery system tester. It's going to give you that full report on your smart device.
What kind of data are you getting from it?
So you're going to get voltage, but you're also going to get the cold cranking amps out of that battery. And it's going to give you the condition of that battery. So it's going to tell you if it's good, if it needs to be recharged and tested, or if the battery is bad. And when the battery gives you that bad description, it's going to tell you why. If it has a bad cell, we're going to show it in that device. If it just doesn't have enough cold cranking amps, it's going to tell you that as well. So you're not going in blind. If you need to go into the parts store to get a battery, you'll know right off the bat with that tester what's going on with your battery.
We know TopDon makes great products for the DIYer because you make great professional tools. How does that extend to electric vehicles as well?
So we're seeing more and more electrical vehicles coming onto the road, and TopDon has expanded into EV chargers with level 1, 2, and 3 EV chargers. With the TopDon EV line, we're expanding to not only do charging, but we also have the EV Rescue. And that's a device that can do roadside charging for your EV car. So TopDon's really pushing the line of not only diagnostics, but also EV.
Where can I get products from TopDon?
So all of our TopDon products are sold in all your major retail auto parts stores, or you can check us out on topdon.us.
TopDon is everywhere, and they should be in your toolbox as well. You can go find them online in just about any auto parts store. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com. More cool products when we come back.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, is brought to you by RockAuto.com. All the parts your car will ever need. And by Campbell's Custom Care, your detail specialist.
Here at Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, we love Jeeps, and we know you do too. So we brought in the ultimate Jeep. This is the biggest, baddest Jeep there is. No one's challenged you yet here, Nick. This is called Tank, and you guys have built this at NIC Offroad Customs. This is just an example of what you do. What level of build can you do for folks if they want the Jeep of their dreams?
We can do everything from your daily driver, mall crawler they call them, budget friendly, for somebody who just wants a little bit of height, a little bit of wheels, or sky's the limit, whatever you can dream and whatever your budget can afford. I mean, we can do from $1,500 small customizations to $100,000 full builds. The imagination and budget's your only restrictions.
And you mentioned every level. You know, how many folks come to you and they say, I just want a little bit of a lift, and that's what you give them, you're happy to do that. How often do folks then come back and they want more and want more?
It's an addiction. Customers come in and they just want a little bit of lift and tires, and then they go out and they play in the dirt a little bit, and then a week later, I want to start doing this. They start saving money and they start building quotes, and then it's a process. Some people come in and they drop a big stack and we do their build, you know, something like this right from the get-go. Other customers come in and say, hey, I've got a budget, I can do this much a year, and sometimes it's a 3, 4, 5-year process to build their dream.
Well, let's talk about the build process. If somebody, you know, has a vision or something they want to do with a Jeep, what do they need to do?
Just contact us. First thing we do, we always sit down with our customers, find out what their end game is. I mean, if your end game is a monster like this, then that's what we need to work towards. If you're not wanting something to level like this, then we work towards that. That way, we're not wasting our time, not wasting their money. You know, we don't want to do something small, then 6 months later have to tear that out to redo something else. We want to know the actual end game and then work from there. Sometimes the end game changes a bit. At least we have a direct goal to where we're going, and then not duplicating prices and money and problems for the issue.
And when it comes to putting parts on a vehicle, how do you vet your parts? Where do all your parts come from?
Being a veteran-owned shop, we try to keep everything as much as we can American-made, local. Our big supporters, like I said, Metal Cloak, all of our suspension, that's our go-to. I mean, if you bend it, you break it, we replace it. I mean, we take this out, we jump cars, we crush cars, and we drive it home. 70 miles an hour, legal speed limit on the way home. We try to keep everything we can. We don't want to outsource. I mean, we want to keep everything local, being a veteran shop. Mickey Thompson for our tires, American Force on our wheels. But Metal Cloak is the ones that we really take care of. They do our suspension, they do our fenders, they do bumpers. We work with Gen Right for our cages and things like that. We try to do everything we can local, even small time shops. One of the biggest things is like right here, Trail Stamp. This was Dan Luce's design, started out in his garage and been a big saver for us on the rocks. And safety wise, I mean, high lift jacks, farm jacks, they're kind of dangerous using them, but with that safety pad on there, it keeps it from sliding on the rocks, and been a big savior for us. And like I said, he started out small time like us, and he's growing up the chain also.
We talked beforehand how important honesty is to you when you're dealing with somebody. Maybe somebody comes to you and they want the top of the line parts. What do you do if they don't need those parts though?
That's what I said, that goes back to the point, find out what our customers' end games are. If a customer, you know, comes in and say, I want, you know, this, well, why do you want this? Well, like I said, case in point, we had an individual come in, she wanted $3,000 skid plates because she was driving through some cornfields and heard it scraping our bottom. Yeah, I would have loved to sold her them skid plates, but we sold her some $600 skid plates because that was good enough for what she needed. And, you know, she took that money and put it towards other options and other things on her Jeep. I mean, we try to, like I said, again, spend time with our customers, find out what they need, what they want, and build to their satisfaction and not overbuild them or underbuild them.
So the only limit is somebody's imagination, but you're willing to do the small jobs as well as the big jobs too?
Yes.
And I know folks are going to love that you're a veteran-owned business, and thank you for your service. But you guys also do a ton of charity works, and that's your real passion there. So what kind of things have you done for charity?
So our first big charity build was Pink and Terre Haute. Wabash Valley Jeep Junkies contacted us, and we done a build for Terre Haute breast cancer. We done a TJ, fully suspension, done it all out. They raffled it off and made a nice lump sum for the charity. We've done builds for Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is our latest build that we've done. Something we got into is really cool and really fun for us. People like local fire departments, when they do their extrication training, we'll go out and they'll set up 4 or 5 cars. We'll go out there and play monster truck. We'll crush them and smash them down. Let the fire department come in, do their extrication training. We have fun, crowds love it. People get to see what the fire department actually does, and then if they're ever in that situation, they kind of have a peace of mind of what's going to happen and occur, and it's been a win-win for everybody.
NIC Offroad Customs clearly does great work in the community, and they do incredible work on their Jeep builds. If you want something mild, if you want something wild, they can build it for you. The website, NICOffroadCustoms.com. We shall return with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com. See you in a few.
Motorhead Garage, brought to you by Dragonfire Tools, industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage.
Hey there, Motorheads. You're locked into Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com. Well, since Matt and Mouseblocker were here last time, I've had more questions about this product than any other. And I can tell you, Matt, you've been inundated with customers since you were last on this show because Mouseblocker is such a good idea. It does what it says. It keeps mice out of your vehicle. First of all, why do mice get into vehicles and why do they start chewing the wires in the first place?
Cars are an unbelievable place for a mouse to build a nest. I mean, it's protected from the environment, protected from the owls and the birds and the cats and the snakes. So we make that nice, safe, warm, comfortable engine compartment violent with these products. That's what drives the mice out.
And we should be clear, this isn't violent to human beings, but to the mouse, makes things very uncomfortable.
That's correct. These hit as high as 115 decibels, so similar to what you or I would feel with a jackhammer. That's what's shaking the rodent up from the inside out.
A lot of folks say that the soy-wrapped wires are kind of a culprit.
There is some truth to it. When they chew on it, it doesn't taste as bad as it used to when it was petroleum-based. The mice are teething constantly, so they're looking for anything to chew on. Wiring happens to be everywhere in today's vehicle, and with the engine covers hiding a harness, the harness is the first thing that they chew on as they're trying to trim their teeth. It makes a very costly repair.
And the softest thing in there is the wiring, so naturally they go for that first.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about how you solve the problem with Mouseblocker. There's the original.
The classic one, this one actually hits at 85 decibels. It works very, very well in small spaces. So our motorcycle dealers, John Deere, our tractor companies use this very well. Nice small spaces, simple 12-volt hookup right to a battery, works all the time. It's whisper quiet. This thing is wonderful.
Now for automobiles or larger vehicles, you've got another unit that works similarly.
Exactly. So these are our Pro models. We have a 12-volt version and a plug-in version for something that's in storage longer than 10 days. These act like 200 of these.
Wow.
These had actually hit at 115 decibels, so they're very, very intense, and that uses our proprietary eviction mode. So if you've somebody with a current rodent problem and you want to drive them out, or you're trying to drive out more intelligent rodents, rats and squirrels, that's where the Pro models actually really excel.
Now that goes actually inside the vehicle.
That's correct.
Under the hood. If you're going bigger and you want to protect your garage space, then you've got this unit here.
Yep, the 1000 is designed to protect a 2-car garage. And this is completely redesigned with new long-range style speakers, whisper quiet so it doesn't bother anybody, but it actually projects an uncomfortable environment in a large space.
And how does that compare then noise-wise with the smaller unit there?
So the smaller units are very loud and many people can hear them. We did that on purpose because we're taking away the things that the rodent makes comfortable. So with flashing lights and a loud noise, and we're starting to remove their senses, that's how these work. This attacks their central nervous system. So this shakes them from the inside out, making them uncomfortable in this space around the car. This is step 1, drive them out of the car. Step 2, drive them out of the garage.
It's the Pied Piper leading them right on out.
Exactly,
there. Perfect.
exactly.
Now you can go even bigger now for those of you who have a bigger space. You said this covers 1,000 square feet.
1,000 square feet.
So those of you who have larger collections and you know who you are, or maybe you even have a factory and you want to protect it from mice, tell me what's going on here.
So this is our newest unit, and this is for the people with larger car collections, shops, automotive shops, and warehouses and factories. These comes with 10 surround sound speakers. This is designed for up to 12,000 square feet. using same long-range technology.
What's some of the feedback you get from customers that buy Mouseblocker?
The feedback's unbelievable. I mean, we're really solving a problem. And it's simple, $100 or $200 price point. It's less expensive than the simplest automotive repair. If you have to take your car to the shop and have it diagnosed, a simple deterrent can protect you from that.
Well, you're going to love it. It's going to save you a ton of money. By the way, 10 out of 10 mice hate it. It's called the Mouseblocker. You can find it at mouseblocker.com. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com in just a few.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, is brought to you by Amsoil, the first in synthetics. Steel rubber products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. And by Forney Industries, innovating since 1932, we are welding.
This is Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com. Everybody loves a diesel truck. So much power, so much torque. They're great, but what's the complaint you hear, Eric, when people drive these off the lot?
Well, they buy the trucks with the advertised power of like 500 horse, 1,000 foot-pounds of torque, but they get in and drive it, and it just has a ton of lag. There's always going to be some inherent lag with the turbo since it's powered off the exhaust, so it takes a minute for it to spool up. But there's a few tricks that we can do that help bring that power on a lot earlier and smoother.
And you have the solutions at Stealth Performance. So show us the module that you have that's going to help folks overcome that lag.
Okay, so this is the module right here, and it just plugs in line with a couple sensors. It usually only takes like 5 minutes to install.
That's it. And what's it hooking up to?
The fuel pressure sensor and the boost sensor. So what it's going to do is bring that fuel pressure up earlier, so you get a more efficient plume out of the injectors. That way you get more potential out of the fuel. And it also tricks the boost into pitching the vanes of the turbo to bring that boost on earlier as well.
So as the driver, what are you going to feel that's different when you put a module in from Stealth Performance?
Oh, it's just going to be a lot more responsive. You're going to have better acceleration, more bottom end torque, and not only will you notice a difference when daily driving, like with no trailer, but when you get a heavy load behind it, that's when it really shines.
I know what you're asking right now. Is it safe for my vehicle?
Yes, and to prove that, honestly, what I did the other day, because I've said this before on tech calls and things, is I took this module, I smashed it with a hammer, I lit it on fire, I cut the wires, and I wrapped them all together while the truck was running. Unplugged it, plugged it back in factory, and just drove off down the road. Just manipulating a couple of reference signals, it's always protected by the factory programming. It couldn't cause harm if it tried.
And speaking of factory programming, does this void the warranty when you plug in a module from Stealth?
The reason warranties get voided is because they can detect the flash count, which means like if someone plugs into the OBD2 port and reprograms the truck's computer, it's always in the history. Fortunately, the module does not reprogram the truck's computer, so it leaves all factory programming intact, so there's never going to be a history of you reprogramming it. So there's no footprint left behind.
How many different makes and models of trucks do you cover?
So we make them for all the major manufacturers, all the newer diesels, the Ram, Chevy, and Ford.
I know you said it's an easy hookup, it's an easy installation. What if I'm having issues with it?
So the majority of the issues is just a connection thing, but we have 24/7 tech support. If you call, you're going to talk to me, the owner, on the phone, 24/7.
You can get rid of that sluggish feeling when you're towing, when you're getting on the on-ramp, pulling out in traffic. You can find them at stealthmodules.com. These things are great.
Sales on diesel power vehicles continue to rise. Folks, diesels are here to stay. Welcome to this Amsoil Tech Tip on diesel injection. Now, when it comes to diesel injection, it's a lot like gasoline injection. You can see it right here on the screen. It all starts right down here in the fuel tank. Now, you see there's an actual low pressure pump in the tank. That's important because we have to make sure the gasoline's in good shape. But the key is low pressure pump. Then it comes on up here, and when it comes up here, it's going through a water separator. The water separator separates the water, and then the key is right here. It goes through a high pressure pump. Once we go through that high pressure pump, we're talking 30, 40, 50, 60,000 PSI of pressure coming up to the common rail, and then boom, shooting through the injector. Now that's a problem because when we're going through these injectors, we have a lot going on here. We have a lot of heat, we have a lot of pressure, and we have a smaller pintle. So that's going directly into the cylinder. Len, what can you help us with here to keep these injectors clean?
Well, we've got several products, and it depends kind of where you're located, what type of weather you're seeing, what type of fuel you're seeing. As we know, diesel fuel is highly sensitive to weather. But to your best bet would be the Amsoil all-in-one product. It's going to cover everything that you discussed plus more. It's going to take care of cleaning, it's going to take care of lubricating, it'll handle some cold temperature issues. It's your all-in-one. That would be the one I would recommend for this.
And just like gasoline injection, Len, I mean, the patterns are important. We have to get that. And like I said, that thing's sticking, you got debris in there, you're getting heat soaking. You have a smaller pintle with higher pressure, it's very susceptible to clogging. Now, on these injector patterns, which one do you want?
Well, obviously, I like that one on the left there.
Yeah, it's much better. That's going to atomize, that's going to do the job, and that's important when it comes to a diesel. So can we address the injector itself and not have to do like an all-in-one?
Sure, if you're located somewhere where the temperature isn't cold or you don't have some of those other issues, depending on what type of machine you've got, you could go with just our diesel injector clean. That's a highly concentrated additive that's in there that's designed specifically to clean deposits.
Well, I'm going to take a few home because I have some diesels. You do the same thing. Go to amsoil.com, get you some diesel cleaner, and look at all their phenomenal products.
We cannot do this show without you, the viewer, so thank you so much for tuning in. And we can't do this show without great products coming through the studio here. So if you have one you want to see featured on Motorhead Garage, email me. Send a note to dave@motorheadgarage.tv. We'll get you here in our studio to show it off to the world. Until next week, from the greatest crew in television, we will see you here for another edition of Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com.